Now, the pork contamination crisis is turning out to be a major test for the Agriculture Minister, Michelle Gildernew. She's expected to make a statement in the Chamber at 4 o'clock on the situation, as is Health Minister Michael McGimpsey just after her. There have been reports of widespread confusion over what to do with pork products on the part of retailers and consumers. With more is our consumer correspondent, Martin Cassidy, who's in the BBC newsroom back at base. Martin, thanks for joining us. Try and clear up the confusion if you can for the moment. We've had a statement. Who do we take the lead from? We've had one from the Health Minister, from the Agriculture Minister, from the Food Standards Agency. Are any of them definitive at this stage?
Well, the anger and frustration really is over the apparent delay in the Food Standards Agency and the authorities in Northern Ireland responding to this dioxin contamination story. You'll remember that it was really on Saturday that the Republic's Food Safety Authority recalled all of the pork south of the border. And by Saturday evening, the authorities in Northern Ireland seem to have been caught fairly flat-footed on this. Either they hadn't been warned of it from Dublin, or there certainly hadn't been enough of a warning about just how quickly this story was going to break. So while you had pork being cleared off the shelves south of the border on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, even as late as Sunday lunchtime, you were able to buy Irish pork freely in shops in Belfast.
So, obvious confusion, lack of communication. And does that extend too to what may be the root of this problem, which is the feed and how animals maybe are moved for slaughter back and forth across the border? It seems that nobody in Northern Ireland seems to know exactly, how to trace this problem at this stage.
Well, you can only start and trace animals when you actually know that there is a problem, and there is electronic identification of farm animals, and the Department of Agriculture is now focusing very clearly on 9 local farms which received contaminated feed contaminated with dioxin chemicals from a feed plant in County Carlow. But the situation is that while the Republic's authorities were moving on this yesterday, really people like consumers, butchers, farmers, pork processors are all still this afternoon waiting for direction on how long this may take and what may be involved in actually getting the problem cleared. We know there's a meeting involving Department of Agriculture, Health, Food Standards Agency and some of the industry this afternoon. So it'll be, later this evening before really the information flow starts to come as people would like it.
Martin, Mark Devonport here. I mean, during the foot and mouth crisis, there was a lot of talk about North-South cooperation, a lot of talk about Fortress Ireland. It all seems to have broken down, though, this time.
Yes, well, we're supposed to have a single island animal health strategy. And the question really is, what went wrong? Why was the information flow so poor over the weekend? Did the authorities in the Republic not provide sufficient warning to the veterinary and food authorities in Northern Ireland what was happening? Or if they did, was there a case that the authorities here simply didn't act quickly enough? But you'll remember back in the foot and mouth crisis in 2001, the Republic acted very quickly in sealing the border when we had a foot and mouth outbreak here. When it comes to passing information back and forward, though, something which clearly would have helped the Northern Ireland pork industry and consumers on this side of the border, there are certainly suggestions in some government circles this afternoon that the Republic could have done much, much more.
Martin, many thanks indeed.